Accident lands a local first responder in the intensive care unit as a GoFundMe raises tens of thousands of dollars for his family.
A Rockford firefighter stays in a Madison hospital after a traumatic brain injury over the weekend. WIFR's Nathaniel Langley meets with those rallying the community to support the first responder.
Richie Macias makes a career out of helping others. A terrible accident reverses that role. Now it's the community rising to support him. Rockford firefighter Richie Macias has been sedated and on a ventilator since an accident on Saturday. Friends of the first responder offer a GoFundMe to support his wife and 2 kids. The fundraiser sets a goal of $25,000. It's doubled that. When I talked with those who know the firefighter, they say he lives a career dedicated to serving others. Now his incident activates a community of those touched by demanding tragedies and accidents.
It's horrible, but I will say one thing. With Kevin Rice's death years ago, my brother's death, they really pull together. It's a very tight-knit group, the first responders.
Brad Lindmark there says his foundation will send a sizable donation to Macias' family. You can also find the GoFundMe at WIFR.com.
Thank you, Nathaniel. And friends of the firefighter tell us Macias showed positive signs, but the road to recovery won't be easy in the coming weeks.